All right, we're recording now. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. Um, this is the week before spring break, which is fantastic. I'm excited to get out and hopefully the sun will be shining. It's been pretty nice so far today, at least where I'm at. You can do some stuff. If you want to jump on the Nearpod, that would be great. And then we're going to get going, okay? So as I've kind of talked to a couple people about so far before I started the recording, and let me share my desktop too with you. If you go over into the course real quick, we only had a couple things that we needed to do at the beginning. Some people had some issues with the class showing up on their OLS, but we've only done two things. So if we go to plan real quick, you will have seen that we just had two things that have already been due. It's the geography pre-test, which just do the best you can on it. You get points just for taking it, okay? So I just want to see where you're at. And the other one was the lesson 1 quiz. We have the lesson 2 quiz that's going to be due this week, okay? And that's what we're going to be going over today, okay? We're going to be going over actually natural disasters. So it's usually a good unit to kind of talk about different things that's going on and all that fun stuff. Okay, so a couple things. One, this lesson is going to be recorded. Just so you know, just a disclaimer here. Also, expectations, right? Make sure you're using your pointer or you're following along. Raise your hand if you need to speak. There's sometimes the chat goes so fast I can't read everything. So if you can, just raise your hand when you need to. I'll try to get to you. Respond to questions the first time. So if you need to put something in Nearpod or whatever, if you're away, if you can just send me a message, just say, hey, I'm away, so I know you're there. And then also use the chat tool appropriately. Sometimes there's some subjects we get on that are somewhat controversial, and want everybody to have this be a safe space, okay? All right. I don't know what happened here. Okay. All right, so this is what was going to happen. So given a list of natural disasters, okay, so you can choose from any natural disaster you can think of, okay? You're just going to research a current event and determine what effects it had, like on the environment. And the environment could be like people, it could be the area, the mountains, all kinds of stuff, okay? With 80% accuracy across one trial. So that's what we're going to be doing your quiz, your assignment's going to be on. Okay, so what is a natural disaster? So I think a good way to do this is we're going to watch a little video here. I don't know why. Okay, so what do you think a natural disaster is? I think it's going to make me do this first. I thought I had a video before this, but so why don't you put in the Nearpod real quick what you think a natural disaster is? Bad? Okay. A disaster that happens naturally. Okay. Earthquakes. So that's a good example. Tornadoes. Hurricanes. Good. So we got some good examples there. Floods, a weather that happens naturally. Okay. Tsunamis, an event that can cause harm, long-term effects, Earth and people. Okay. What about something like the coronavirus? Could that be a natural disaster? Some type of pandemic, right? Yes, I would say yes, right? A popular Roblox game. Oh, I didn't even know that. Maybe that. Okay, a disaster that caused damage or loss of life. Okay, it could just cause harm to people too. A pandemic. Very good. So those are definitely some natural disasters there. Okay, so what we need to always think about, okay, is the world is always changing, okay? Natural disasters are changes which are so great that they may cause damage to the shape of the land or the lives of the people or other things living in them, okay? Great changes happen deep inside the earth and on its surface. The change on the outer part of the earth happens because of the different kinds of weather, okay? So here are some examples of natural disasters, okay? You have volcanic eruptions, okay? Earthquakes, cyclones or hurricanes. They're the same thing, it just where it happens in the world, cyclones and hurricanes are. Avalanche, okay? Flood, drought, bush or brush fire, okay? So many different things. Okay, so here is a video, and I'm actually going to stop sharing and play it on my thing because I think it plays better when I play it through the new row. So let me stop that for a second. Okay, this talks about the science behind natural disasters.
Natural disasters are part of the way the planet works. In the ideal world, we would all live in places that aren't affected by natural hazards. We wouldn't live near coastlines. We wouldn't live along the San Andreas Fault in California. We wouldn't live underneath the volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. But we live where our homes are. I mean, those are the places that are important to us. And then there are many people that don't have choices. The museum is presenting this exhibit to describe these events to people so they have a better understanding of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and tornadoes. But more than that, to begin thinking about the risks associated with them. As climate warms, we expect there to be more severe storms, more severe droughts, more wildfires, and to some extent, over the last decade, we've seen just that. There's no way we're going to avoid the natural hazards on a dynamic Earth, but there are certainly ways that we can learn to live with them to mitigate the risks to society.
All right, so I thought that was kind of a good overview about a little bit about why things are happening and why things are changing so much, okay? All right, let me share my screen again here. All right, so let's go over just some examples and what they are and that kind of stuff. And remember what our exit ticket here is today, our basically assignment, which is our exit ticket, is that you need to find a natural disaster that kind of interests you, and you need to write about it. And I'll show you exactly what we need to do when we get to that point. Okay, so volcanoes. So a volcano is an eruption that's spurting out of gases and hot lava from the opening of the Earth's crust. Okay, pressure from deep inside the forces ash, gas, and molten rock to the surface. Okay, another one is an earthquake. And some of us even experienced an earthquake about a year ago, right? If you felt the one in Utah. An earthquake is a violent shaking of the ground. Sometimes it is so strong that the ground splits apart. When parts of the earth, called plates, move against each other, giant shock waves move upwards towards the surface, causing an earthquake. Okay, another one is a cyclone, hurricane, tornado, or typhoon. Okay, a cyclone is a fierce storm with storm winds that spin around in a gigantic circle. During a cyclone, trees can be uprooted, buildings can be destroyed, and cars can be, I guess, knocked over, I guess, right? But a lot of it has to do with the air pressure, okay? air pressure and warm air meeting cold air, and it starts that spinning cycle there. Here's one that affects us in Utah that maybe we don't think as much, is avalanches, okay? So in Utah, we have quite a few avalanches. It's the movement of snow and ice going and rocks that go down a mountainside. Avalanches happen very sudden and can come up as fast as 124 miles per hour. I've actually spoke with quite a few people that have been in avalanches before, and they said you're just stuck, right? It's like what happens is it hits you and you just go, and it's like you're in cement. You're just taken under, okay? Avalanches can be caused by melting quickly, snow freezing, someone skiing in the area, and it causes the avalanche. Okay, here's another one, is flood. A flood is caused by an overflow of the water which covers the land that is usually dry. Floods are caused by heavy rains or by snow melting and the rivers bursting in their banks and overflowing. Coastal floods are caused by high tides or rise in sea level, storms, waves, or tsunamis. Okay, here's another one, a drought. Okay, a drought is the lack of water or rain. Okay, in 1968, a drought began in Africa. Children that were born that year did not see rain for a total of 5 years until it fell on again. So that's pretty crazy, right? Another one. We saw this quite a bit in California. This has happened quite a bit. In Australia, they had big, huge fires that were going on. But forest fires or brush fires, okay? They can burn out of control in areas of forests or bushlands. Fires are caused by lightning, sparks of electricity, or careless people. Wind may blow a brush fire to areas where people live. And you could probably have seen that before. We're going to watch a video that just kind of shows all of the natural disasters that actually happened in 2020, which there were so many that happened, okay? So I'm going to go and play that back on Nearpod. So let me stop sharing for a second. And I think you'll find this kind of interesting to see everything that happened in 2020. I think that's why everybody thought this was just the pretty crazy year.
Okay, I'm just trying to check the intensity or the speed of the wind, and I'm applying full strength to try and open this. It's a bit hard. Oh God.
All right. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that happen all the time in the world. And that was just like the first 5 months of 2020 there. So, and we know that just natural disasters happen all the time. Okay. So this leads us kind of to the end of what we need to do. Okay. Or actually, we're going to talk a little bit first. What is the most recent natural disaster do you remember hearing about? Okay. So you turned on the news. Okay. The Australian wildfires. The Utah Avalanche. Yep. There's quite a few of those happening right now. COVID, the earthquake here in Utah, Australian wildfire, volcano eruptions. Australia wild avalanche. I know that there's just like all kinds of stuff happening. Oh, something in Honduras. Okay. And I think when it's not close to us, we don't really hear about it as much, right? So I'm sure you could go out when you're doing your research, right? And you can just say natural disasters happening now, right? And it would show you something that's going on, right? There's always something that's happening, whether earthquake, a volcano, hurricanes, tornadoes, all kinds of stuff, okay? Well, it is a natural disaster, COVID is. So anything that affects it, it was naturally spread. Yep, even though it's spread by humans. So I think they said now that the hearings are saying that a bat transferred it to another animal, and then another animal transferred the first human, is what they're saying. But disease or a pandemic, something like that, would be a natural disaster. Okay, so this is your assignment, okay? So choose one natural disaster to research, indicate it where in the world this natural disaster happens, okay? And then you're going to write about what happened and how it affected the people and the environment there, okay? So what you'll do, so if you go into your course, hopefully this will come up, come on. You go to content, and you're going to go to natural disasters, and you're just going to click on the assignment. And this is what you're going to see on your side, okay? So you're going to start it. And it's going to ask you, this will not grade automatically. This is something I need to grade. So what is the natural disaster you researched? Okay, so you need to put that in, okay? The natural disaster you choose above, in which country did the natural disaster occur recently, okay? So if you want to talk about Australia and the spread of those fires, you have to put Australia here, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to find something, you're going to research it, find, articles about it on the internet, all that kind of stuff. And then in 75 words, at least 75 words, you're going to kind of type about how it affected the environment, how it affected people, how it affected animals, living things, that kind of stuff. And then you submit it, okay? And then I'll go through and I'll grade those as I see them, okay? So that is your exit ticket and your assignment for this week, okay? One thing I did want to mention, we do have spring break next week, but if you do need help ever, I will be around in study hall at 1:15. It should show up on your course calendar, and you go there. Wait, so do we have to do the one in a country? Yeah, so you're just going to tell me you're going to research a natural disaster, and so for example, let's Google earthquakes, okay? And then you say, oh, an earthquake, the last one that happened was in, or the one I want to research that happened recently was in Indonesia. And so you're going to put Indonesia. And then you're going to research that natural disaster and see what it did. And be like, oh, so many people are homeless because of this, right? The UN had to step in and provide different support. There are so many people that died from this. There were animals that were displaced. The country looks different because of this, okay? Well, it's going to be in a country or by a country, right? The country that affects. So it happened in the ocean. It probably is a tsunami, and then it will happen in there, okay? All right, so that is your assignment for this week. I'll stop the recording, but I'll be around to help you with anything you guys need. So